Hey, Patrick, you need a gun to kill Nazis.
Bullshit. Hold my beer.
Good evening and welcome to Bullshit, Hold My Beer, coming to you from the cold, cold heart of the scorching Mojave Desert. My name's Jacob Caudill, and as always, I am joined by my best friend, Patrick Alger. How you doing tonight, Patrick?
Really good tonight.
Really good tonight.
Really good tonight.
Really good. Really fairly good. Pretty good. Tonight's got some changes in store. After some feedback from some folks on Facebook and a couple of the other social media platforms, we are changing up the format a little bit. The show's finding its voice, and you're going to help us find it. We're all going to do this together. It's going to be like a magical scavenger hunt. I've gotten some negative feedback about the political content, and it's still going to exist. Political content's got to be a thing, folks. I believe heavily that you should be informed about politics. Otherwise, politics is not going to inform you about what it does to rape you. That being said, a lot of people like the pop culture stuff, so we're going to dip into a couple of lighter topics tonight. We're going to talk about one particular badass in history, a guy who I like to think is my fucking spirit animal. And we're also going to delve into our very first full-fledged, front-to-back, full-nude movie review. We're going to be doing Guardians of the Galaxy tonight. We're going to talk about Chris Pratt and the gang of goofy fuckers gallivanting across the galaxy. So, please, sit back, relax, enjoy the entire show, grab yourself a drink, and before you get started, hit that subscribe button. That way, you don't forget about us. Really, we're just kind of like that creepy ex-girlfriend. We feel a little bit like Uber right now. We're going to start data mining you if you don't just hit that subscribe button. We're going to find out who you're listening to on the side. We're going to find them. We're going to break their knees. Did I just take it to a creepy place?
No, it seemed reasonable.
Seemed reasonable. Good. Okay, excellent. We're going to take a short break, and after the break, we're going to come back. We're going to jump right into our first segment of the evening. One I like to call Bullshit. Hold my history. You are listening to Bullshit, Hold My Beer, coming at you from the cold, cold heart of the scorching Mojave Desert. If at any point in time you want to get a hold of me or Patrick, feel free to contact us. Our social media platforms are going to be available in the bottom. They're going to be BSHMBeer. That's BSHMBeer. And we can be found on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We can be reached at Gmail at all of those handles. And most importantly, we really want to spell this one out for you. If at any point in time you want to get a hold of us and show us that we're doing an amazing job, that you'd love to hear more, that you want to give us money to embarrass ourselves on air for as long as humanly possible, feel free to find us at our Patreon page. That's going to be patreon.com/BSHMbeer. Thank you for your support. Thank you for listening. Feel free to grab that subscribe button. Feel free to download as many as you possibly can. Share it with a friend. Give us a like. A 5-star review on iTunes would be amazing. We will take whatever you get. The pandering does not end here. And now, back to the show. So this segment is something that I need to reach out and thank Mikey for, because he reminded me about this. This is kind of a genesis segment from Bullshit Hold My Beer, because originally this was all about great badass dudes across history. Well, dudes and chicks and whoever else. So we're going to channel our inner spirit animals. We're going to talk about a few historical figures that had the audacity to stand up and be badass motherfuckers when the time called on it. Now, Patrick, you love school, right?
Yeah.
And your favorite part of school was tests, right?
Oh, of course. Who doesn't like tests?
You know what the funny thing is? You're being sarcastic. Testing was my favorite part of school.
Yeah, I like testing so much I just went and got my GED so I can do one big long test and get it all done with.
Let's make this whole fucking thing a test. Well, this evening I've written up a few questions. I'm going to talk to you about one of my particular favorite icons in history, and we're going to see how much you know about this individual. Now, I didn't reach too far back. I just went back to World War II. This guy's a World War II icon, and we're going to talk a little bit about what makes a badass.
You didn't tell me I had to study.
No, that's the whole point. I don't want you to study. We're going to be taking you by surprise as often as we possibly can.
Nobody told me you'd feed me alcohol and then give me a fucking pop quiz.
Goddamn. You know, the weird thing is, back when I was a teacher, this is exactly how I did my tests.
Fed them alcohol and then pop quiz them?
Fed them a bunch of booze and then said, hey, guess what, guys, pop quiz. That's why I taught high school, because that shit didn't fly in middle school.
Yeah.
All right, so to the dear and gentle listener, we're going to be jumping into a segment I call Bullshit, Hold My History. And again, we're going to take a look at a particular religious icon, historical icon. And we're going to talk about defining moments in their lives, their careers, their whatever they happen to do. And at the end of this, we're going to decide if these folks are toast worthy. So strap in, this should be fun. This should be interesting. There are times when history demands greatness out of all of us. When most common folk fall by the wayside, and only true heroes rise to the top. There are times when the odds are too great, when the foes are too many, and when truly amazing people stand up and say, bullshit, hold my beer. So Patrick, tonight we're going to be talking about a guy who went by the moniker Mad Jack Churchill. He was a British military officer. This guy was something special. He's one of the unsung heroes of World War II. And when we're done here, we're going to decide if this guy is something special. You're going to tell me, is this guy toast worthy? But first, we're going to jump into a quick quiz. Now, this is 9 questions long. It is multiple choice, so you have a chance here.
Excellent. Is it open Google?
It is not open Google. I want this cold and hard. Mad Jack Churchill. When everyone else was finding new and exciting ways to kill each other, Mad Jack was reaching into the past to make his name in the future. Carrying a sword, longbow, arrows, bagpipes, and a revolver, he made a new name for old school warriors everywhere. So we're going to be talking about this guy, Mad Jack, who literally went into battle in World War II, strapped with a broadsword, an English longbow, arrows, bagpipes, and a revolver. That's how he went at it. Started at the rank of major, ended at the rank of lieutenant colonel. So,
nice.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about this fucker. Now, have you ever heard about this guy before?
I've heard about him before, yes.
You've heard about him before. Okay, so you've got some previous knowledge.
Some. I didn't know about I knew about the sword. I didn't know about the longbow and everything.
Yeah, okay. So, first let me lube the pipes a little bit.
Yeah. Lube away.
Giggity. All right. Number 1. Famously known by his men as Mad Jack or Fighting Jack Churchill, what was the major's real name? Was it A, John Michael Raynault Churchill, B, John Malcolm Thorpe Fleming Churchill, C, John William Harper Roberts Churchill, or D, John Jacob Jingleheimer, I'll cut your fucking Jacobs off and feed him to you, you worthless kraut swamp donkey, Schmidt Churchill?
D sounds really tempting. I like D.
You like D? John Jacob Jingleheimer, I'll cut your fucking Jacobs off and feed him to you, you worthless kraut swamp donkey. Schmidt Churchill is incorrect.
That's a shame.
His name was John Malcolm Thorpe Fleming Churchill. Don't know why he needed 5 names, but I'm not feeling the need to argue with the fucker. Even before the war, this is number 2. Even before the war, Mad Jack was tackling challenges that would end most mortal men. Among his exploits was which of the following? A, swimming 2 miles up the Yangtze, or Yellow River, against the current, a feat that took just over 7 hours and almost cost him his life twice to drowning.
Good thing he kept doing it.
You don't fucking quit when you almost die.
He's like the Scottish surfer.
B, spending 3 years on the Indian subcontinent, quote, touring the circuit of highly deadly bare-knuckle fighting events. Because, you know, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah.
C, riding 500 miles across Burma, much of which had no roads, on a motorcycle because American biker gangs are bitches, and why the fuck not? Or D. Each of these will have 4 options, by the way. Or D.
Okay.
What did he do before the war? Having blood extracted and analyzed by Dr. Abraham Erskine in an attempt to create a, quote, super soldier serum in an endeavor which eventually led to the creation of a slightly less badass version of himself that the Yanks called Captain America.
Okay.
So you've got swimming in the river and almost drowning,
All right.
spending 3 years punching people to death, or riding 500 miles across Burma, or giving birth to Captain America.
Okay, we didn't have biker gangs back then.
No, we didn't have biker gangs back then.
That happened afterwards. I like B. B sounds like fun.
The touring the circuit, highly deadly bare knuckle fighting events.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it is riding 500 miles across Burma. I editorialized that one a little bit. He was never quoted as saying American biker gangs are bitches. Okay, all right. So now he was in the military for 10 years. He got out of the military because there was too much peacetime and it was just too fucking boring. But eventually, when World War II broke out, he decided, I think it's time to get back into the fight. Now, during the war, Mad Jack's exploits were famous. To begin his legend, Mad Jack checked off the following items from the, quote, list of badass fucking things to do in a war. A. Shot a German soldier in the chest with a cloth-yard arrow, killing him and scoring Mad Jack the honor of last confirmed kill with a longbow in the history of warfare. B. Killed 3 Germans at a guard post with a knife wielded in his left hand due to his right hand being broken. C. Snuck into a German fortification in the dead of night to steal a case of wine for his men who claimed they just needed a nip. Or D. Ended the galactic blockade on Naboo while discovering the youngling who would restore balance to the Force.
D sounds really tempting.
I know, right? I really wanted to make these tough.
Yeah.
So far, D seems to have drawn a lot of attention from you. So
Okay,
you've got shot a guy with an arrow,
Right.
killed 3 Germans with a knife offhand, or snuck into a German outpost to steal a case of wine.
All 3 of them sound great.
There are things
Did he do all 3 of them? Because that would be perfect. Like, is there no wrong answer?
he did not do all 3 of these things.
Damn it. How about A?
A is correct, sir. He shot a German sergeant in the chest with a cloth-yard arrow to signal the beginning of an attack. He told his men, wait for the signal. They said, what's the signal going to be? He says, I'm going to bury a fucking arrow in the officer in charge.
That's a good signal.
Right? So, out of nowhere, imagine you're you're these fucking Germans, and you're sitting there playing cards or whatever the fuck you're doing, and all of a sudden the sergeant goes, "Huh!" And he has a fucking arrow sticking out of his chest, and then rifles explode everywhere.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
There would have to be a pause of confusion at that point.
Yeah, 2 Germans. Is this a fucking arrow? What is this? This is bullshit. No one said there'd be arrows. Fuck this. Bullshit. Hold my beer. We have tanks. They're shooting us with arrows.
Time to get in the fucking tanks.
All right. Never one to rest on his accomplishments, Mad Jack, along with his second in command, captured 42 German prisoners, 5 of whom were wounded, and captured a German mortar in a daring late-night raid. During the 2-man raid, Jack never fired his weapon, choosing instead to capture his opponents using what? So, to clarify, him and his second in command went on a raid one night,
Right.
capturing 42 Germans, 5 of which they wounded. Jack never fired his weapon, neither did his second in command.
Just the 2 of them.
Just the 2 of them. Jack instead chose to use what weapons? A. His broadsword and a length of cord. B. A bayonet and a wide flat rock. C. The tip of a broken arrow and his torch or flashlight. D. Excalibur. Fucking Excalibur, because why not? Later discarded the sword, calling it the weapon of a lesser man.
That sword has cheat codes.
Exactly. This thing summons elephants. This is bullshit. Call back.
All right.
So you got a broadsword and a length of
Broadsword.
cord, a bayonet and a wide flat rock, the tip of a broken arrow and a flashlight, or Excalibur. Sword of Kings.
That's a hard one.
Yeah, right? They all sound fucking testicular.
Very much so. I like the broken arrow.
You like the broken arrow? Broken arrow and his torch or flashlight. No, sir, it was his broadsword and a length of cord.
Was the length of cord to hold his nuts up from dragging on the ground?
Yes, actually, yeah. He tied a little like hammock for him and rested him in a little banana hammock.
Gird your loins
No,
type of thing.
He and his second in command casually approached a German outpost, and they walked up, and when they were questioned, he stabbed one of the sentries with his sword, and then took the lanyard from his revolver, because British revolvers have the lanyard that they tie to the front of themselves so they can drop their weapon and I guess keep it. I don't know.
Right.
But he
so
took,
you don't lose it.
Yeah, he took the lanyard from his revolver, wrapped it around the throat of the second one, and and then used this guy as a human shield and walked them with his sword buried in the guy's back, walked from outpost to outpost, having the German he has now leashed, his German on a leash, give the appropriate passwords, and then taking outpost by outpost. Finally, he took the mortar, which had 6 Germans sitting around it, and he strode into the firelight, pointed his sword at them, and demanded their surrender, which they all immediately did. The wounded, he made the healthy carry the wounded back in donkey carts, and then had them break down the mortar and carry it back as well.
Well, to be fair, if you're sitting there by a campfire, enjoying your night, having some marshmallows, a little bit of beer, somebody strolls in with a sword and says, "I own you now," you just got to be like, "Okay, can I bring my beer?"
When asked how he pulled it off, later Jack was quoted as saying, "I find that if you speak to a German loudly enough and forcefully enough, and you are his superior, he will do nothing more than say, 'Jawohl, mein Herr,' and leap to the task immediately and with enthusiasm. That's why they make such good soldiers." Yeah, fucking broadsword and a length of cord. This sounds like a, oi, mate, I've got an idea. Why don't we just go capture all the fuckers? Well, what are we going to do it with? I got a sword. Alright then. Broadsword and length of cord. Alright. Mad Jack received a number of wounds during the war. Most notably, he was shot in the head and neck by a German machine gun.
That happens.
In the head and neck by a German machine gun. A wound which was discovered when he rode up on his motorcycle after the battle. When told about the wound, what did Jack ask for? A needle and thread. B, a drink. C, a medic. D, a fuck, for he had none left to give.
I like a drink.
You are correct, sir. He asked for a drink. That is all he wanted. He was asked. Yeah. It was seen that he was bleeding about the left side of his head, and they said, "What happened?" And he shrugged casually, said, "German machine gun," which it turned out he was shot in the ear and grazed in the neck. It took a chunk of his ear off and grazed him in the neck. And he simply asked for a drink. Does anyone have a drink?
Well, after battle, what you need is a drink.
All right. Talking more about Mad Jack's wounds. While reclining against a wall after a battle, Fighting Jack was, quote, blown up by a demolitions charge placed on the other side of the wall. So he's leaning against a wall. Another British demolitions crew places a dynamite charge on the other side of the wall, detonates it, blows the wall apart. In the act of being exploded, hurled 30 feet in a tornado of rubble, and landing in broken masonry, Mad Jack received only one wound, a cut to the forehead caused by what? A, the bottle of wine he was drinking at the time. B, a piece of rubble from the massive pile of rocks, nails, boards, and bricks in which he landed. C, the forehead of the man standing in front of him in what would go on to be known as the, quote, epic fucking Mad Jack exploding headbutt of doom +5. Or D, nothing, literally nothing. Mad Jack cannot be wounded by the means of mortal men. Instead, he chose to wound himself so that his men would feel better about themselves and to protect his secret identity as fucking Thor.
You all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you got wine bottle, pile of rubble, the forehead of the man standing in front of him, or he wounded himself so that his men would be inspired.
See, the way I picture it, he just got shot in the head and neck with a German machine gun, asked for his drink, given a bottle of wine, goes and sits on a wall, leans up against it, and some asshole fucking blows him up. So I would say the wine bottle.
It is indeed the bottle of wine. He was drinking a bottle of wine at that point in time when the wall was detonated behind him and the glass shards were actually embedded in his forehead.
Goddamn FNGs. Get you every time.
Oh, God. This guy's my fucking spirit animal. All right. Every hero has a bad day. Mad Jack's bad day arrived when his men were surrounded, defending themselves with their pistols, and hopelessly outnumbered. Either way, the brave commandos fought on. A mortar round landed near the half-dozen men, killing 2 and wounding everyone, except Jack, because, you know, he can't fucking be wounded. Finally, out of ammo, relieved of his sword and bow, and standing in the midst of his broken battalion, Fighting Jack chose to do what? So you've got Jack and all of his men have been wounded or killed. He is the only unharmed man standing on a hill, surrounded by krauts. The end is nigh. What does he decide to do? A. Hide among the corpses of his men, avoiding detection to go on living to fight another day. B. Take out his bagpipes and play "Ye Will No Come Back Again" so long and loud that the Germans refused to approach until Jack was knocked out by a grenade. C. Charge into the enemy, taking 3 of them barehanded before he was finally subdued by a rifle butt to the back of the head. D. Pause to save his game, take a piss, and get ready for Act 3 of the game, because where else other than video games do you hear about shit this epic?
It'd probably be online play, so there's no pause button. So
Yeah, that shows you what kind of gamer I am. So you've got, did he hide among the corpses? Did he play his bagpipes? Did he charge into the enemy? Or is it all a video game?
I'd like to say he charged into the enemy screaming there could be only one, and then fucking went and became the Highlander.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Instead, he took out his bagpipes and began to play. The Germans would not approach him. They were terrified of the crazy man playing bagpipes on the hill completely unarmed, so they lobbed a grenade at him, which only knocked him out. It did not wound, maim, or anything. It knocked him unfucking conscious.
The concussion, or they bounce it off his head?
I'm thinking they hit him in the forehead with the actual physical grenade.
Jeez.
Right. All right. This is after he survived a mortar round that took out his entire fucking troop.
Right.
All right. Following his defeat and capture, Mad Jack escaped from not 1, but 2 concentration camps and 1 SS troop. Of the following options, the British Brit found freedom in which way? So he escapes from 2 concentration camps and 1 SS troop. Which is the actual escape story in this set of options? Which one did he actually employ? A. Talking another British officer into escaping with him, sneaking under the wire fences in a drain, Shawshank Redemption style, and walking over 100 kilometers to the coast. B. Negotiating with a German commander, eventually winning that commander's trust and respect, then finally just being released with 140 of his concentration camp buddies because he was cool. C. Taking advantage of a power outage and walking away from a work detail, then crossing 150 kilometers armed only with a tin can and some wild onions. Or D. All of the above. Literally all of the above, because fuck you, Alcatraz. So you've got Shawshank Redemption escape.
Shawshank Redemption.
Right. Making a German commander like him so much that the German commander just said, you guys should go now. Or power outage, and he just walked away from work detail. Casually. Yeah, it's all of that I can whistle without us having to pay for it.
Okay, good. Don't get us sued. We have no money. I like B.
Or D, the final option
Yeah,
is all of the above. Yeah, so you like B?
Yeah.
No, it's D. All of the above. Literally.
He did it all.
All three of them. Yes. The first concentration camp he escaped from, Shawshank Redemption style, when he was captured on the coast. He got within 5 kilometers of the coast before he was recaptured, and the SS tried to take him. The German commander respected him so much, having heard of him, that the German commander said no to the SS, fuck off, you don't get to have him, kept him, and then ended up setting him and the other concentration camp people free. Mad Jack was recaptured and transported to a work camp in Italy, where, while on work detail, took advantage of a power outage, dropped his shovel, and walked 150 kilometers across Italy, liberating, as he put it, liberating vegetables from German gardens. Armed, he had a tin can in which he would cook, and some wild onions to get him through the first day.
I like this guy.
Right? All right. Last question, number 9.
Okay.
Unfortunately, by the time Fighting Jack was rescued in Italy by an American armored division, the war was nearly at an end. The bombs had been dropped, and it looked as though Fighting Jack's fighting days were done. When asked about his feeling on the end of the war, Mad Jack was quoted as saying, so these are 4 quotes that may have come out of Mad Jack's mouth. You have to pick the real one. A. It's a pity to win the war in that way. We gave Hitler a right smack. Would have been more fun to do the Japs the same way. B. Bombs are the way of war. Swords are the way of warriors. Seems America makes war. Great Britain makes warriors. C. If it wasn't for those damn Yanks, we could have kept this war going another 10 years. Or D. Bullshit. Oh my beer. When asked about his feelings on the end of the war, he said, "We gave Hitler a right smack. We should have done the Japs the same way. America makes war. Britain makes warriors. If it wasn't for the Yanks, we could have kept this war going another 10 years." Or was he our first ever fan?
I like A.
A, pity to win the war that way. We give Hitler a right smack. It would be more fun to do the Japs the same way. It's actually C, sir. If it wasn't for those fucking Yanks, we could have kept this war going another 10 years. He was pissed that the war ended. He did, however, to a certain extent, say bullshit, hold my beer, because after the war ended, after victory in, VJ Day, Victory in Japan Day, he went on to serve further in Palestine, where he did such exploits as rescued 143 doctors from an Arab attack. At one point in time, there was a Jewish medical convoy that was on its way through town. Mad Jack left field dress. He was marching. He was in parade. Right. Left the parade, stole a Jeep, drove downtown, and defended the caravan with his pistol while in full military dress uniform, which consisted of a kilt, checkered socks, sock flashes, his bonnet, and his jacket. So you have to imagine this guy in full Scottish dress with a pistol. He's defending these guys with a pistol while he's casually walking down the line asking them if they want to be rescued. In the end of his life, Jack survived the war. In the end of his life, he became a professional surfer where he made custom surfboards. I'm pretty sure he made them out of the corpses of Germans. He was married, had many, many children, died in 1996. This is a guy I wish I would have known about back when I was in high school. I would have done anything to speak with him for just a moment. 1996, Mad Jack, he died at the age of 82, having lived a peaceful back half of his life. Became a paratrooper at the age of 40, and all of these exploits, he was 35 when he began his military campaign with longbow, sword, and bagpipes. He was known to play the bagpipes while the ships were landing. He would lead his men into battle, always on the front line, always out in front of everybody else. He rode his motorcycle across the European campaign like fucking Captain America, with his bow strapped across the fucking handlebars. So, John Malcolm Thorpe Fleming Churchill, otherwise known as Lieutenant Colonel Mad Jack Churchill. Do we drink to his honor?
Hell yeah, we do.
Why? Because he said, bullshit, hold my beer. And that has been Bullshit, Hold My History.
business that makes no money and can make write-offs. I'm not seeing the downside of that.
I'd like to be a business that makes money, man.
Me too. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon. So right now we're a hobby that's going to be a business. Unlike the SCA. At least we can write it off on taxes.
All right.
If we can write off SCA shit on taxes, that would be a fucking miracle. Dongal would be outfitting me completely.
All right. This beer is literally made from piss.
Oh boy.
That's the headline on grist.org.
Usually the piss comes after the beer.
Let's see how this plays out, because I don't know if this is the article we were looking for, but this is going to be interesting. Coors.
Yeah, I believe it's piss.
Coors has been bottling piss and calling it beer since 1989, when the corporate mega brewer first brought Keystone Light into the world.
Keystone.
Fucking Keystone. Now a wastewater treatment company and a group of home brewers in Portland area are teaming up to make actual beer from recycled furnishings. Oh no, not furnishings, flushings. I think this is the article we're looking for. They promise that it'll taste good enough that you won't have to shotgun it or consume it only because you lost at beer pong. In an effort to flaunt its high purity system for making drinkable water from sewage, Clean Water Services wants Oregon Brew Crew to turn its decontaminated drain juice into craft beer. The state won't allow the home brewing club to serve wastewater brewed beer at events just yet.
No shit. Yeah, you guys can't feed people piss. Sorry.
Bullshit. Drink my piss. Oh, God. I just have this image. What's this made out of? Piss? Blah.
Yeah, I figured. Is it Coors? Keystone.
Oregon Public Broadcasting describes the details of the regulatory hurdles in the project that it faces. In short, the drinking recycled water isn't legal in Oregon, even if it's super sterilized, and you probably think it's a reasonable rule since pouring purified pee and shower drainage and dishwater down your throat seems, well...
What is that called? White water? Gray
water?
Gray water, yeah. It was something like that, yeah.
Yeah, purified piss, shower drainage. Oh, God. We all do it every day. Before you start fretting about icky piss...
I start to fret about piss beer when I can see through it. That's when I start to worry.
Before you start fretting about icky piss ale becoming the new IPA, remember that there's this thing called the water cycle. We're all drinking a little bit of dinosaur pee in every glass, or Jesus piddle if you prefer.
Jesus piddle. For the Christians out there, Jesus piddle.
The takeaway. Don't get grossed out by how recently your water was used last by humans or filtered through them. In fact, soggy Oregon lags behind other areas where climate change is bringing more and more drastic droughts.
Trouts. Fucking trouts.
Drastic droughts.
Fishy piss water.
Toilet on Tap is already going strong in many bone-dry communities like Wichita Falls, Texas. Basically, sewage gets purified at the wastewater treatment plant and then piped into drinking water treatment plants, where it's filtered yet again before heading back out to the municipal water system. The beer piss cycle is now a closed loop, and that is beautiful.
Don't they make that out of like bottled water when it's reverse osmosis? Isn't that fucking piss water we're drinking?
I to be honest with you, I don't know.
I think it is.
I
think it's evaporating the water, getting the clean water that's like put in the cloud form and evaporated.
It's all water world.
And then leaving the impurities.
That's the point. That's the goal.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of different ways to purify urine, and you can fucking do an experiment yourself where you build a solar still. and you piss in a cup, and you fucking, you use the solar still or piss in a depression, and you use the solar still to collect pure water in a cup. It can be done.
And it should be learned how to be done, just in case.
yeah, it's a survival technique.
But don't advertise it with your beer.
I don't know. I think that might be a thing. Just piss beer.
Piss beer.
Piss beer.
Yeah, we already have that. It's Budweiser.
Yeah, but what if you could get a can of piss beer and it actually tasted really, really good?
Could I see through it?
No. Let's say you couldn't.
Let's say they make porters.
Yeah, because all they're talking about is the water.
Right.
Talking about the purified water that they're using. So, yeah, piss beer, piss porter.
I don't know. There's a lot of selections out there.
Pure piss porter.
Pure piss porter.
Yeah.
They're not selling me on it, bro. I don't know. I mean, what if it tasted great? All right, great. Maybe dick tastes great. I don't know. I don't want to fucking put it in my mouth.
God damn it. That makes me so sad. I don't know. I feel like this is the next step. This is the next step because I know come the apocalypse, I'm still going to want to get drunk, and God knows I'm going to be brewing.
All right. In a pinch, but while there's selection out there, so in a pinch you'll drink piss beer.
Well, like the article says, we're drinking dinosaur waz right now.
Yeah, but I don't have to think about it happening 2 seconds ago from fun.
Does it really matter that much?
I think it does.
Like I have a feeling.
Like you can't market piss beer. I'm sorry. If you're gonna market shit, just forget that part.
No, we need to put this to the listener. If you could get a pint of pure piss porter, would you buy that shit? I think there's like daring fucks out there who'd be like, give me a pint of the pure piss. I don't know why I made him British.
They'll drink fucking rat shit coffee. So yeah, there's a market for it, but it's not as big as the average beer drinker will drink.
Well, no, it's not. If that's going to be your marketing thing, but what if they didn't advertise it? What if it was just pure porter, and it was made with piss water, and they didn't tell you about it too much?
It's the old if what you don't know doesn't hurt you.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't advertise it. But like they're making a point to tell you, yeah, we made this out of piss. Super. I'm gonna go over there and have a fucking kilt lifter. And
I think the hippies would be down with that though.
Of course
They'd be like,
would.
Yeah, we're helping the environment right now, and it would sell like fucking mad on the Indian subcontinent. Where they drink urine every morning
because it's fucking sterile, and I like the
taste. There's your marketing slogan right there. Pure piss porter, because it's sterile.
I don't know.
And I like the taste.
They've come up with a new material that supposedly will help us filter salt water into drinkable water.
Okay.
They're supposedly can make batteries out of it, like a flexible batteries that'll fucking kick the shit out of the lithium batteries we have now.
Okay.
And they're now just refine it to where they can make mass. So we shouldn't have to drink piss beer anymore. We should be able to drink the mercury-filled ocean water.
So you'll take mercury poisoning before you'll drink piss beer.
Just don't tell me.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna pee in one of those bottles and see if you notice.
No, I'll notice because it'll be warm.
Well, I'm not gonna do it right before.
Well, that's a long con. You're not good at that.
As evidence would stand to prove. Oh, goddamn. Well, you heard it from us here. Pure piss porter. It's a thing. People are making beer out of piss water.
Piss porter. Enjoy.
So go out and get yourself a nice frosty pint of piss porter and tell us what you think. And if you live in Oregon, you're not going to be drinking piss beer because it's not legal there. So congratulations on that one. You are listening to Bullshit, Hold My Beer, coming at you from the cold, cold heart of the scorching Mojave Desert. If at any point in time you want to get a hold of me or Patrick, feel free to contact us. Our social media platforms are going to be available in the bottom. They're going to be BSHMBeer. That's BSHMBeer. And we can be found on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We can be reached at Gmail at all of those handles. And most importantly, we really want to spell this one out for you. If at any point in time you want to get a hold of us and show us that we're doing an amazing job, that you'd love to hear more, that you want to give us money to embarrass ourselves on air for as long as humanly possible, feel free to find us at our Patreon page. That's going to be patreon.com/BSHMBeer. Thank you for your support. Thank you for listening. Feel free to grab that subscribe button. Feel free to download as many as you possibly can. Share it with a friend. Give us a like. A 5-star review on iTunes would be amazing. We will take whatever you get. The pandering does not end here. And now, back to the show. Welcome back from the break. We're going to delve into our
Firsties.
our first trailer review. Patrick and I went and saw Guardians of the Galaxy. It was like a date, only there was no sex afterwards, unfortunately.
Oh.
I was really kind of hoping, but you just left me high and dry in the parking lot, man. You were just like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah, I had shit to do. Come on.
To be fair, I had shit to deal with as well, but I could have used a hug or just like a handy or something. Jesus. You were like,
Just touch it.
yeah. You were like, fuck this. We'll talk about it on Thursday. I got to start mentioning the fact that it is, for the dear and gentle listener, it is Thursday, May 18th. Not today, when they're going to be listening to it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Look at
Stare at your watch.
That doesn't look like an 8 to me. It looks like an 11.
We record before they hear it. Guardians of the Galaxy, man. Now, first thing I want to do is let the listener know that there are going to be spoilers ahead, but not yet. So please keep the podcast rolling. Listen for a little while, because we're going to do you a favor, and we're gonna talk about this a little bit in a spoiler-free kind of context. Now, first off, I want to know. We're going to do this up front so that anybody who hasn't seen the film at this point in time, by the time that this hits the air, the film's been out for about 2 weeks, and we're going to tell people kind of our overall thoughts of the film. That way they can sort of take that as a setup going in. Now, taking Guardians of the Galaxy, the first movie, as sort of our litmus test, right?
Right.
Going in, looking at the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, I saw previews for it. I really took Marvel on faith with this one. I was like, because I used to be a fan of the old Guardians of the Galaxy comic books. I had a bunch of them. They were using second-string characters from a third-string team,
right,
to tell their story. And I was a little worried about it, but I kind of took Marvel on faith. Walked in, and I had this movie after seeing stuff like Avengers and Avengers 2 and just all the great stuff that was coming out of the Marvel Studios. I was thinking this movie was going to be a solid 5. It was going to be meh, right middle of the road, not great, not spectacular, what have you. I walked out feeling like the first Guardians of the Galaxy was a 9 out of 10. It was a home run, knocked right out of the park. I was super pleased with what I saw. Do you back that up, or do you have a different take?
Well, I first heard about it, and I never read the comic books. I didn't get that deep into the comic books to hit Guardians.
Sure, you were less of a nerd than I was. You could play a sport.
Yeah. So I heard the concept before they started filming. Like, I just heard the premise.
Yeah, raccoon in a tree.
Yeah, raccoon. They're like, oh yeah, Rocket the raccoon, a talking raccoon in a fucking tree that can only say one thing. And I'm like, okay, Marvel, you're fucking stretching on this one. You're really digging deep. You're like, damn it, I wish we had the X-Men back. We'll do this. So, I was really skeptical until I saw the first trailer.
Okay.
And then that brought me around, because pretty much I was probably going to skip it. And then the trailers brought me in, like they're supposed to.
Yeah, sure.
And then, yeah, it was a 9 out of 10 when I got to see it. It was...
Okay.
Exceeded my expectations at that point, because even though the trailers look good, I'm still like, fucking talking raccoon and giant fucking tree that says one thing.
So, first Guardians of the Galaxy was a 9 out of 10. Now, the second installment, Volume 2, as they've so creatively dubbed it, right. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, otherwise known as Daddy Issues. If we had to give that a number, taking the first one as a litmus test, sort of a standard to hold it by,
right,
what number would you put on the second one?
I would go 7.5.
I could tell when we were in the theater, enjoyed it more than I did, because I'm at kind of a limp 6.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, and we'll get into why, but without giving away any spoilers, I think they took Chris Pratt out of his element. I think that they overdid a couple of things. They kind of doubled down on a lot of bets, and I think the greatest sort of analogy I can use is it was a very Babe Ruth movie. They swung for the fences on every little bit. In every scene they had an opportunity to either pull a laugh or pull a tear. They swung for the fences, and I feel like they struck out just as often as they hit a home run. And it's confirmation bias, me remembering the good shit, that brings me up to a 6.5. If I really sort of sat down and picked that movie apart, that number would probably drop a little bit for me, because I'm a bit of a film critic.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the movie. It's just it wasn't as good as the first one, which most sequels aren't. Yeah, I agree. They stretched a little bit. I wasn't a big fan of Baby Groot. That was too much marketing, I think, for...
Sure, yeah.
Whatever toys or whatever they were trying to do.
Man, I was watching, we were doing some trailer reviews and stuff, and I was watching one today, and the first thing that popped up was a Baby Groot toy commercial, and I was like, motherfucker.
Yeah, there it is.
It happened. There it is. They didn't waste any fucking time this time around. Moving forward from here on out, if you haven't seen the movie, go ahead and I never like saying this, but stop the podcast, go see Guardians of the Galaxy, or swallow your pride and listen to the review. It's still going to be a movie worth seeing. There's no way in hell Patrick and I could do justice to this movie, Marvel and their budget and everything else. But go and see the movie if you don't want to hear any more spoilers. And stop the podcast, come back, pick this episode up at that point in time. Other than that, be warned. Spoilers ahead. So, getting into the actual meat of the film, we kind of open up scene 1. You've got Gamora, you've got the whole crew basically, and they're doing a job, right? They've been hired to protect fucking
batteries.
Yeah, Boson batteries or whatever the fuck they're called. And they're doing a job. They're being the Guardians of the Galaxy. I kind of liked this opening. It just showed them on a work day. First thing we see is some of that hypercolor eye candy. Okay, let me back up. The first thing we see is Missouri in 1980.
Right.
Which means Star-Lord is younger than I am. Younger than both of us, actually. You know, we're two jamokes with a fucking podcast. At this point in time, he has fucking conquered half the galaxy. You ever feel like an underachiever? God damn it. You know, we see... What do you think of young Kurt Russell, man?
Young Kurt Russell, I really liked because it was very little CGI.
Yeah.
Most of that was practical makeup.
Yeah, Marvel's technology, whatever they got to young up people, because they did the same thing with Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. in the latest Iron Man. They younged him up, or the latest Avengers, or whatever it was. Civil War, yeah, Civil War. They younged him way the fuck up, and it was super convincing.
Yeah.
And that was him playing the part, and like you said, it's done with a lot of practical makeup. It's done with, and then they CG over the top of it.
Well, I was watching an interview with Kurt Russell, and he said the makeup guy has like been his makeup guy forever, and they were trying to figure out how they were going to do the young part. Yeah. And the makeup guy said, "Just give me a couple hours." He's all, "Let's see if this flies." So he took him back, did the makeup work, brought him out, and they said, "Fucking perfect."
Yeah, he looks. Yeah. I was looking for flaws. I was looking for faults. I wanted to pick it apart. I wanted to Tarkin fucking, I wanted to Princess Leia that shit. And I could not see a flaw one in the way they did the makeup for Kurt Russell in that film.
It didn't have that uncanny valley that CGI does right now.
I don't know what that means.
It's this thing you can't get past, that you'll always see fakeness in the eyes and the motions of the face. They call
that has a name?
Yeah, it has a name.
The uncanny valley, huh?
Yeah.
That's amazing. When I was in art classes and stuff like that, one of the things my art teacher told me, he was like, never try and draw a human face if you're going to get graded on it. He goes, because you can look at a car and go, oh, that's a car, and not be able to identify the model of it, but you can say, oh, that's a car. Okay, cool. You look at a human face. We look at human faces all day long. We're programmed to recognize them, so we notice every goddamn minute detail that is wrong with a human face.
Yeah, but on the other side, you see faces everywhere there's not.
Right.
Like your wall sockets.
Yeah. I'm looking at one right now. Look at him. He looks so surprised.
Because you're programmed to see faces, so you see that setup, you're like, oh, face.
Yeah, right. But goddamn, they did a great job with Kurt Russell, and now this begins one of the sort of tropes that I did not particularly care for in this movie, and that was on-the-nose dialogue, really clunky exposition. One of the first things he says, he takes his River Lily, what is her name, Meredith or whatever, Meredith Quill, I believe is her name, Star-Lord's mom, and he shows her the flower and all this other stuff, and he says, soon it'll be spread across the universe, and it feels like a little bit of foreshadowing, but it also felt like really kind of clunky, on-the-nose dialogue, and I only noticed it the second time around, so maybe this is the fact that I saw the movie twice and you only saw it once.
Right.
But it felt a little bit clunky. And then after that scene, we move into space. Now, one of the comments I got from one of the people who are following the podcast online and who are paying attention, they said, hey, make sure you mention the hypercolor vomit that is this movie. All the fucking electric neon colors of doom. So did the color palette bother you?
No, I love it.
So do I.
Because it's a comic book movie.
Exactly. This is fucking eye candy, man.
Yeah.
They open up, and you can tell we're in Guardians of the Galaxy because everything is purple and pink with accents of yellow. It feels like space in the 1980s.
Yeah, it has its own feel, and I think Thor Ragnarok's gonna take from that.
Now, it's interesting to note. I wasn't gonna make this connection, but if you watch the Thor Ragnarok trailer, and when it says Ragnarok, it has that stylized 1980s Guardians of the Galaxy feel.
Right.
Part of that also is that Thor and Hulk, they're in the Planet Hulk storyline. They're out in space. They're on a planet right now. And I'm thinking, and this is just me speculating, I'm thinking if Thor Ragnarok sort of has that Guardians of the Galaxy influence on its title credit, it might just be that the way Thor and Hulk get home is they hitch a ride with the Guardians because they got to get the Guardians to Earth because they're supposed to be part of the Infinity War.
Right. We already know that one.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that Thor Ragnarok is going to bring us. Now this is speculation based off of one slightly 1980s looking title credit, but
a bitchin' looking title credit
for a bitchin' looking movie. But I think the Guardians are going to bring the guys home. But bringing it back to this first opening scene, we open up with some witty dialogue. We open up with Star-Lord talking to Gamora about the fact she's using a gun, and he always thought swords were her thing, and stuff like that. And my first thought was, okay, movie, like, we get it. You are Guardians of the Galaxy. You have this witty, funny dialogue. We really like that. You've set the bar for it. It's not going to be as impressive this time, though. You need to be aware of that. This is the bar. Right now, all you're doing is hitting the average for us.
Right.
It's when the first Guardians came out and, Star-Lord said shit to like the chick in his spaceship, like, I forgot you were here, and kind of had that surprising, funny dialogue that we didn't expect. It was surprising and funny, and it kind of blew us away. In this case, that's just Star-Lord on a Tuesday.
Right.
So it didn't really impress me a whole lot. Then we get the Rocket is assembling the stereo. He's putting the stereo together, and Drax is asking him what he's doing, and he says, I'm putting this together so that we can listen to tunes while we fight. And for some weird reason, Star-Lord disagrees. He agrees with Drax. That's not important right now. Drax tells Rocket that's not an important thing to be doing.
The guy who wore his headphones all the time to do missions.
Right. I don't understand what that was supposed to be, because to me, Star-Lord would be like, no, that's definitely big. That needs to happen. But for some reason, he just tells Rocket, like, nope, that's not important. I'm agreeing with Drax.
Well, if Drax is standing next to you, wouldn't you agree with him?
Not if I'm Star-Lord. Not if I'm Star-Lord, because Star-Lord puts his foot down. Well, doesn't exactly put his foot down, but, they get back and forth. Now, we get a funny line from Drax, and this sort of sets Drax up. They turn immediately to Drax, and they're like, why aren't you wearing one of the arrow units? And he talks about the fact that it hurts. They say, why? And he goes, I have sensitive nipples.
Right.
Which explains why Dave Bautista never wears a shirt. That, and he's Dave the Beast Bautista. Would you wear a shirt?
No.
I wouldn't either.
Except for I sunburn super easy, so...
So you'd just be orange.
Yeah, lots of sunblock.
Yeah. We get Drax kind of being funny, and this sets up a big thing. But before we go any further, what did you think of Drax in this movie? That was one of our big conversations when we talked about the trailer. We talked about Drax and our hopes for Drax. Did he meet your expectations?
Oh, it exceeded.
Me too. Drax really, he is the reason to go and see this movie.
They really wrote him well.
Yeah.
In this, gave him the great lines that he needed.
Yeah, and we're going to talk a little bit about one of the cheats they used to really take Dave Bautista as an actor to the next level. That's all the stuff I was jotting down in the theater while you were busy enjoying yourself.
Right. I was gonna smack the pen out of your hand with you clicking it though.
Oh, was I clicking it really badly?
It's like click click. I'm like, dude, I don't need to know you're taking notes.
Fuck. Next time I need to bring a cap pen.
Yeah.
Then you just have to hear the of me pulling the cap off the pin every time. Yeah, Drax opens up with the line about his nipples, and then we dive into the fight scene. The interdimensional monster shows up, and they dive into the fight scene, and camera pulls focus to Baby Groot, who's fucking around with the little jacks, the quarter-inch jacks.
Right.
Finally gets the quarter-inch jacks to meet, and then the music starts playing, and we get this dance scene from Baby Groot, and he dances all over the fucking universe.
Right.
What do you think of that opening scene, that whole opening montage? Because they use this to present the credits.
I see that they were trying to like call back to the first one.
Sure.
But I didn't enjoy it.
This is the one time I kind of liked this effect, because they give us cute Baby Groot. I was like, okay, cool. They're giving us Baby Groot being cute and weird and funny up front. Awesome. We're not going to be beat over the head with it the whole time. He'll be what he is. And we get this dance scene. And I do like the fact that most of the Guardians are in this epic fight in the background, and it's in soft focus in the background, and you're watching Groot in the foreground fighting lizards and shit. I thought that was clever, and I thought that was funny.
Right.
You did not enjoy it.
No, I wanted to see the fight scene that was actually taking place with the big monster.
Okay.
So it took the focus from where I wanted it to be and then put it somewhere I didn't, and I guess vice versa for you.
Yeah, sure. Well, it wasn't a matter of taking the focus where I wanted it to go, but I was kind of charmed by the fact that, okay, it's just the Guardians doing their job.
Right.
They're out there, they're fighting an interdimensional monster who wants to eat batteries, or whatever the fuck the whole point of it was.
Muncher, yeah.
Yeah. That was my nickname in high school.
Oh.
That and fucking queer. But I liked the opening scene. Now, they use this effect where Groot plugs in the jack and the music starts, and that's going to set up a complaint I have further down the road, but we'll get to that when we get to that. There was a couple of things that I took specific note of in this opening scene, because the Guardians are fighting Groot, and the Guardians are fighting the interdimensional monster, and Groot's just dancing around and having fun and doing his thing, and they use, like, each of the characters come into the scene and interact with Groot in some way, and that's how they kind of use it to remind you of who the characters are, right?
Right.
Yeah, Quill comes in. I can't remember what he does. It was something unremarkable. Gamora has a great funny moment where she looks at Groot and she's like, "You need to get out of here. You're going to get hurt." And Groot just waves at her, and she turns and goes, "Hi," and then flies back in. Right. And that's being a parent. That was very parent to me, when you're like doing a thing, you're talking to somebody, and your toddler's waving at you, and you're just like, "Hi, how's it going? I see you. Bye." And like they're just happy now. I thought that was very cute. I actually took note of that both in my digital notes and my paper notes. The Gamora hi moment was fucking hilarious. Drax, of course, lands, and we get to replay the end of the first Guardians movie, where he looks at Groot. Groot stops dancing. He looks away. Groot starts dancing. And Drax lays on the goddamn ground for like a minute and a half playing this game of red light, green light. And right. I'm like, dude, will you go stab the monster? So they started pushing it a little bit far, and to me that opening scene just kind of ends meh, whatever. The Gamora stabs it in the wound that it received, and then cuts it open from neck to belly, and at this point in time,
that's after Drax jumped in the mouth.
Yeah, you're right. And that's I have in here at least 6 times I fucking love Drax. Drax gets annoyed. He says the skin is too hard to penetrate from the outside, and he jumps inside this monster, which is apparently bedecked with internal lighting, because when it shows him on the inside of the monster, you can of course see him clearly. But yeah,
he's battery muncher. Just go with it.
No, I feel like just go with it is a good piece of advice, because Marvel has said this is space. Fuck physics.
Yeah.
You know, in the first movie, Star-Lord's flying around in space in a space helmet that has an open top. Right?
So your hair can flow in the wind that's not there.
Yeah, and he's wearing a trench coat for space protection. So Marvel has pretty much just said, fuck you, physics. Physics is applicable when it's funny or creates tension.
Right.
So the opening scene kind of ends, and I feel like, all right, did its job, presented some credits, and it kind of reminded us of who these characters are. Any disagreement?
No, I wrote it off as because it was like, I'm like, really? This is how? And I'm like, well, it's just an intro.
Yeah.
So we'll let it drop.
It did what intros do.
Yeah.
And they win the day, and Drax makes the comment, I have single-handedly slayed the beast. And
sometimes I forget that people like intros. I'm like, just start with the fight and let's do this. I don't need to be sold anymore. I'm already sitting here.
There was the bit where Star-Lord talks about the Algernon batteries or whatever the fuck they're called, and Drax calls them the Halifax batteries or whatever. And from that moment on, that's what they're always called, Drax. Yeah, it's a joke that pays off several times.
Right.
Also, we get the Rocket Raccoon winking joke in that scene, and then we go to the next scene, the scene where they're at the Sovereign and they're sort of returning the batteries and they're getting their reward, which is Nebula.
Right.
And is that her name? Nebula? Yeah, Gamora Nebula.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nebula's tossed down, and that's their payment for the job that they did, and they're all happy about it. They're going to go collect the bounty on her. And we get, first off, the chick, the goddess of the Sovereign or whatever. Holy shit, was she hot.
Right.
That's an Australian actress named Elizabeth something unpronounceable. And she's 6'2" and pretty much the epitome of human perfection in my mind. And you cover her in gold body paint and put her in a restrictive helmet and make her all superior to me, and it's super fucking hot. I just, that was winning the game. I was like, the moment I saw her, I was like, good God, she is gorgeous. And I went and saw this film the first time with my girlfriend and had to be like, good God, she's uppity.
She's okay.
Yeah. A little bit like Star-Lord. And of course, she jokes with Star-Lord about reproducing the old way. The Sovereign give the exposition that they're sort of a genetically, enhanced.
Superior,
yeah. They don't reproduce anymore. They genetically birth people, and
Which is no fun.
We get Rocket telling off the Queen of the Sovereign, and you people they said you people were conceited douchebags. Glad to see they're not correct, or whatever he says, and then he winks, and that's the only time we get that winking joke. Like, the winking thing goes away after that. He never continues to wink. I don't know what the fuck the whole point was. But basically, I feel...
at least they didn't push it too far. Subtlety, just throwing in a little bit here. But do you really want to see the winking through the whole movie?
I just want to know why it was a thing. I feel like that's a conversation that we walked in right on the very end of. And then we missed the part where Quill was like, you're bad at winking, quit it.
Right.
So, I kind of wonder what the fuck... What did we miss? Did we walk in on the third reel of a whatever? Either way, it is what it is. So the winking thing goes away. But the whole thing is, if Rocket doesn't steal the batteries, the movie's done. It's end of movie. Like, they don't ever have to fly from... So really, ultimately, the Sovereign are painted out as the bad guys in this, but the fucking Guardians stole from them.
Well, that's what they do. A little bit of bad, a little bit of good.
Yeah, a little column A, a little column B. It's like a Chinese menu. I get that. But, so, of course, they leave the planet. They're followed by a big sovereign fleet of fuckheads who want to shoot them dead. And they go into this sort of escape scene. Now, what do you think about all this? This is where they're flying through the quantum asteroid field. Now, I have a moment in my notes where I'm like, quantum asteroids? Really? Asteroids that pop in and out of existence? But then again, Marvel's like, fuck it. Fuck physics. So I can see how that'd be cool, but...
I liked it. I mean, a lot of good movies had space chases through asteroid fields. And it's either that or on Earth going through canyons or whatnot.
True. And of course, Quill and Rocket get in this huge fight about who's going to fly the Milano at that point in time.
Right.
In order to fly through that asteroid field, you'd have to have the greatest pilot in the universe. And Quill says, like, then it's a good thing. And Rocket goes, I am... and totally steals his thunder. And then they argue back and forth over who's going to fly the Milano through the quantum asteroid field and the whole 9 yards. And we get this cool space fight scene or chase scene and everything else. And they set up the fact that the Sovereign are actually flying remote ships. And
yeah, they're in an arcade.
Yeah, just great fun fluff. I do like the arcade noises they threw in. It repaid that 80s feel.
It brought me right back to arcades.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you actually felt like you were the last Starfighter and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then...
Which, if they're listening, The Last Starfighter would be a great movie to redo.
There's whispers about it. Because there's been a bunch of pop culture references to it lately.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch... There's a few whispers about the fact Last Starfighter might be making a reappearance. But let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's not review trailers that haven't come out yet.
Backtrack.
These guys, they pop out of the far side of the quantum asteroid field, and then I find it funny that on the other side of the quantum asteroid field is the entire fucking Sovereign fleet that they've been running from anyway. So... I kind of wrote in my notes, why didn't you guys just fly around it too? If it made fuck all difference, if it didn't ditch the fleet, why did you fly through the middle of the incredibly deadly asteroid field? But fuck it, whatever.
But fuck it.
It sets up the tension where they have to make the jump, and they're not going to make the jump point, and out of nowhere, the 1-inch man shows up and detonates the entire fleet, and
right.
They make the jump point, and they end up on Bearheart,
which is a great entrance for Kurt Russell.
Oh yeah, he's literally riding a spaceship without a space suit and just unexists all these robotic spaceships. Like, it's hard to get
just
more
flies
cock.
by waving.
Yeah, literally waving like, hey, how you guys doing? It's hard to get more cock out than that. Now they land on Bearheart. We have the scene with Drax hanging out the back of the spaceship, and as they're landing on Bearheart, he's getting beat to fuck by trees and everything else. And I personally love this. It totally defies physics and everything else, but it says
before that, I like the way they jumped. It was just like an open window, and you're on the other side.
No, that's true. Like I do like the kind of way they've set up jump gates or whatever you want to call them in this. And I have my own problem with jumps later, but they set up the whole jump gate thing as it just opens a window and you just appear. It's not a flash. It's not a whatever. You just literally fly through a little window. Boop, you're in the next place, and you're now subject to its... Like, they literally fly from space right into atmosphere, and immediately the Milano bursts into flames because it's now in atmosphere traveling at space speeds.
Right.
Which is not a good thing. And they make a fucking horribly sketchy landing. Drax gets the fuck beaten out of him. Nebula, who's on board, is now... She's still cuffed, but she's like kind of free to wander around and stuff because her little, like, the post they cuffed her to has broken. Nebula's with the crew at this point. They land on Bearheart. The side of the ship falls off, which basically tells you they're going to be camped here for a little while. And then Kurt Russell's character lands. This big fucking... It looks like the Heart of Gold from the... what's the name of the movie? 42... Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I don't know if you ever saw that.
Yeah.
But it looks like the spaceship from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy to me. Just a little moderned up. It lands, and out walks Kurt fucking Russell, Dick a Swagger. Now a little bit older. And you can tell by the look on this man's face, he realizes he is fucking gorgeous. He is not old man hot. He is fucking gorgeous. I tend to think you could stand Kurt Russell next to just about anybody, and I would... Fuck me. That is a beautiful fucking man. And
well, he didn't mess. I don't know if he messed around with plastic surgery at all, but it doesn't look like it. It looked like he just went with it.
Yeah, just took it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, fucking look at him at the Hateful Eight. He looks every inch his age in Hateful Eight, man.
Haven't seen that one yet.
Oh yeah, but fuck me. He walks out looking like he owns the fucking universe, and he's got his sidekick, who is apparently a space Asian with antennas. And and they come out and he introduces himself and he tells Peter, I am your dad. My name is Ego. So any thoughts on this scene?
No, it was a great scene. It
Okay.
was a great introduction other than the flying by waving. That was a mini introduction, but the actual introduction.
Yeah, I feel like he was swinging a dick. Now, one of the quibbles I have about this scene and all the scenes really kind of surrounding this is the fact that the crew is fighting much more potently than I think they should be at this point in time. Like, they should be throwing jabs at each other and fucking around with each other and giving each other shit. But there is a point in time when you realize that you are fucking family, and you and I fucking dig on each other all the time, but we would never go so far as to get actually truly offended at one another.
You can say that, but we've never been stuck in a ship in close quarters with each other for months on end.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose. Now, we've got a scene with Drax in here where Drax talks about Peter being pathetic because Peter wants to bone Gamora, and it's never going to happen as far as fucking Drax is concerned, so... that's a funny beat that we missed. But Drax really, I mean, he delivers a funny line, then he goes out and he blows, like, die, spaceship, and he kills a spaceship with a gun, and then he gets beaten to fuck by trees, and he lands, and of course, what's he doing? Fucking laughing his tits off, because he's fucking Drax.
He's just enjoying the ride.
Yeah. Again, Drax, man, he's the character I want. And, of course, Ego spends the night with the crew, and he's kind of talking to Peter about this, that, and the other thing. Peter's resistant to going off with his dad. Ego tries to talk him into it. Of course, Gamora finally talks him into going and meeting his dad. What if this is the guy who plays catch with you? The whole fucking catch metaphor, dude. I am so done with that being a dad-son thing. I just don't fucking get it. Like, sure, my dad threw a Frisbee around with me as a kid and kind of, taught me how to throw a baseball. But
I don't think you'd get it until you don't have it. See, if you grew up with it, I don't think you'll get as much as if you grew up without it.
did you grow up without it?
Yes.
Oh, so did that resonate with you?
Yes.
Oh, see, it did not resonate a fucking whit with me. I literally wrote down, catch, fucking really?
Yeah, but as a kid growing up without a dad around, that is a big thing, because you got Father's Day, sporting events, stuff like that, and which is stuff that dads do with their sons, and then you're missing out on it. So that is something that you're missing.
I could see that.
So
okay.
for me, it played like I got it.
Okay. So that's just a minor difference between you and I then. The fact that I had a dad and you didn't. By the way, Crystal says I'm way too mean to you, so she's probably going to take note of that particular dig. Like, how dare you insult his parentage? You're just a mean bastard. Finally, Peter decides to go to Ego's planet and check it out. And for some weird reason, they bring Drax. I'm not really sure why, but why the fuck not?
Why not?
I would want Drax with me as well. We get the great scene in the spaceship. Now, Rocket is a total douchebag because Rocket, Groot, and Nebula stay behind because somebody's got to watch Nebula. And Rocket's a total dickbag to Quill, and Quill's kind of a dickbag back to him. And there is a point in time in every movie, like you watch the Harry Potter movies. I know I keep referring to the Harry Potter movies. I'm a huge Harry Potter nerd. But you watch the 7th Harry Potter movie, and Ron and fucking Harry are at it again. And they're like, I can't trust you. I hate you. And you're like, fucking really? You've been fighting the Dark One for 7 years now, side by side. This guy's fucking bled blood for you. And this guy's fucking shat from his eyes for you. And you guys can't just take this one on faith. Fucking really?
I missed the shitting from the eyes in the movie. Is that an extra feature? Like
yeah.
Director's cut.
Yeah, you got to buy the $300 fucking super duper edition.
Oh shit!
Of Harry
You buy
Potter.
it, then I'll watch it.
Yeah, I got it on the shelf. I'll let you voodoo it. But yeah, Rocket and Peter are digging at each other to the point where they are both taking insult, and I'm like, fuck, man. You guys have saved the universe together. Now, it's a little bit more believable from these two because they've only been a team for a few months.
Right, because it hasn't been that long from the first movie to this movie.
Yeah, I think they said 3 or 4 months, something like that. So this is one of their first major jobs as the Guardians. So I can buy it a little bit more. Anyway, long story short, we get to Ego's planet. And we're missing some cutscenes here. At one point in time, we cut to Yondu. And Yondu's on planet Robot Sex. And he's, robot sexing robots. And we get Sylvester Stallone.
Right, which they totally hid. Like, nothing saying that he was in the movie.
Yep,
and then Yondu's just walking through the snow. I hear this voice. I'm like, fuck, it's Sly.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, what, did they throw Judge Dredd in the movie? Or?
And Sly plays Sly. No, actually, he plays a character by the name of Stryker, I think.
I can't remember, because I wasn't big in the comic books, but I watched something explaining who he was.
He's a character named Starhawk.
Starhawk, yeah, that was it.
Starhawk, and they named him Stryker or something like that, or Starker in the film. They kind of munched Starhawk into something that wasn't so 80s.
Just go with the
80s. The Starhawk's a really interesting character. He was a dude who relived his own timeline over and over and over and over and over again. Had some great superpowers, could fly, could like super strong, super fast, super smart kind of dude. Interesting character. And Yondu is actually a like first string Guardians of the Galaxy character too. He was an archer. He was sort of an alien, a blue skinned alien with a big red fin that ran all the way down his back, and he was an archer, but he literally shot from a bow and arrow, and they kind of jazzed him up a little bit and gave him sort of the little short red mohawk instead of the big fin, and made the fin an electronic thing that he used to control his arrow, yada yada yada. Mm-hmm. Anyway, we meet Sly, and Sly establishes the fact that Yondu's been disgraced because he traded in children, and the Ravagers don't do that, and fuck you, and just die in a fire, because we hate people who trade in children. And to be fair, that's a valid point. Yeah, it's a pretty good character judgment. His little sparkly friend too is another Guardian of the Galaxy, the guy who's like looks like he's made of ice. His name's Martinix, and he was a character who's from the planet Pluto and can control fire and ice. Yeah. At the end of the movie, they do a whole thing where they pay off like the very first Guardians of the Galaxy plus a guy from Doctor Strange. Right. Anyway,
well, that dude was the actor from Smallville. He played Lex Luthor.
Yeah, he played Lex Luthor. Yeah. Lex Luthor. But we get the fact that Yondu is disgraced, and then he gets hired by the Sovereign to go chase down Peter Quill and kill him. Which brings us back to...
that fucking rug. They were rolling out underneath their feet.
You know, this... did you find that funny?
It was funny.
At this point in time...
It wasn't like laugh out loud.
I have an issue with this. Now, for anyone who's listening, this is the scene where the Sovereign is... The Lady Sovereign is walking up to Yondu, and she's going to offer him the job, and the rug sticks. And they do this funny moment where they have to like brush off the rug and get it to unstick before she can continue walking up. I actually felt like this was the beginning of a thing for me. There is not a single serious fucking moment in this movie. I need a few moments that are just serious and grandiose. But every time they thought to break the tension. Well, when you break the tension every fucking time with a joke, there's no tension.
Well, I'd say the beginning of Pushing Too Hard was the opening scene, but that really set the tone.
Yeah, the rug, like when the rug stuck, I was like, okay, I get it. We're going to laugh. Every time there's going to be some kind of tension or some kind of risk or some stakes, we're gonna be presented with a laugh. And they're just going to bring us down. Great. Awesome. And that's actually a trend for the movie. I feel like there was no stakes throughout the entire movie. There was very little danger presented to the Guardians. It didn't play to me as though they were ever in trouble. I never went, oh God, how are they going to get out of this one? It was just like, let me just watch the pretty things happen. And that's one of the things that really brought it down for me. But we establish the fact that Yondu's got to hunt the Guardians.
Right.
So we switch back to Ego Planet. And Ego's planet is a kaleidoscopic nightmare of hypercolor shit thrown up on a screen, and I fucking loved every minute of it. If I recommend people go see it in the big screen, I recommend it for the fact that the colors and the graphics and it's fucking beautiful. It's brilliant. It's amazing. If I saw this in 3D, I would not feel like any of the 3D graphics were forced, because some movies give you that 3D whoa zoom in shot or something flying right at you.
Oh, that throws you right out of the movie. Like they put something in your face for no reason other than because it was in 3D.
Exactly. And if I saw this movie in 3D, like there's a scene where Drax pokes the little bubble and it breaks into 100 different... And if I saw that in 3D, I'd be like, oh, that's bitchin'. But I wouldn't be thrown out of the movie because I don't feel like that was a shot made for 3D. It was just a shot made because it's pretty. We get the fact that finally we get Peter's backstory. His dad's a Celestial. His dad's a living planet. Ego, the living planet. His dad's a Celestial, made a human body, went around the universe, and finally met Peter's mother, fell in love, and impregnated Peter's mother. Thus, Peter, half Celestial. Right? Yay! And then couldn't go back to Earth because if he leaves his planet for too long, he withers up and dies. That's a synopsis of Peter's backstory. Anything I missed there?
Yeah, I think you're right on.
Okay. And then we switch back to Rocket and Groot and Nebula. And we hear Rocket working on the ship. Groot is Baby Groot, just doing a Baby Groot thing. And Nebula is chained to a wall or some fucking thing. The Ravagers have finally tracked down Quill's ship, and they're sneaking up on it. What did you think of the Ravagers?
As far as, like, their sneaking abilities?
No, just the Ravagers in general.
In general, I mean, they're the Ravagers, man. I liked what Rocket did to them. Like, because they're not stealthy special ops guys.
Sure.
So it's basically a bunch of space pirates trying to sneak up on somebody.
See, this was another one of my big complaints of the movie, and this happened the first time I saw it. The Ravagers seemed like they were inept fucking jokers. They so made the Ravagers so melodramatic and so inept. Like, I never felt threatened by the Ravagers. 800 Ravagers are sneaking up on Rocket, and I'm like, no, he's got this. At no point in time is he in danger.
Right.
Because they're so fucking boobish. They're just like walking tropes and jokes. And I was so disappointed. I wanted them to be a little bit scary. I wanted them to be a little bit hard. They kind of set them up like that in the beginning of the film, but man, they're just so goofy and boobish. And
with Taserface?
Well, Taserface is later, but yeah, I just spent so much time laughing at the Ravagers. I was like, oh god, these guys are just completely fucking inept. And Rocket, of course, handles all of them handily. You know, he gravity bombs a bunch of them, and of course he hurls them 60 feet in the air, at which point in time they land on the ground and are still alive. But whatever, fuck it.
Fuck physics.
I was so sad that they didn't sharpen up the Ravagers a little bit. I wanted the Ravagers to feel a little bit scary. I feel like these are the pirates from the third Pirates of the Caribbean film, and not the pirates in the first Pirates of the Caribbean film.
Right.
They're just goofy. You know they're not gonna hurt anybody and everything else. I don't know. I was a little bit disappointed. I'm gonna stop bitching about them now. Rocket handles him, and then finally Yondu walks up. And now Yondu is the one dude I had some kind of fear of, because Yondu is fucking metric ass tons of badassery. And Yondu walks up. Rocket is forced to surrender, and then Yondu's crew starts to turn on him. There's this tense moment, which was kind of entertaining, kind of cool. And out of nowhere, Yondu gets shot in the head because we find out that Groot has set Nebula free.
Right.
I thought Yondu was dead. I thought she shot Yondu in the head, and he was dead. And honestly, it did not pull on my heartstrings at all. No emotional connection at that point in time. Spoiler alert, Yondu does die in this movie, but not now. Yeah, it just didn't affect me. He falls over, and I was like, oh, Nebula's going to take over this crew of jackasses. Cool, I guess. Maybe she's going to make something neat out of them. We switch back to Ego's planet, and I'm going to start summarizing here, because we've been droning on for a long damn time, mostly because I'm so fucking, into the details. I'm going to have to edit the fuck out of this. We switch back to Ego's planet. We see that Peter is learning about his history, and he's sort of learning his inheritance, and he's a half celestial. Him and Dad literally fucking play catch. He can tap into the light of the planet, and he makes this fireball, and he throws it at Dad. Dad catches it, and Dad throws it back, and then it's all sharpened up, and they literally fucking play catch. And I wrote down, is this movie trying to laugh at itself? Seriously, are we fucking serious? Now, you said that resonates. So, because I had a dad and you didn't,
Right.
I guess it's a thing. Sure. Any comments about this interaction, this sort of Ego bringing Peter to his side of things? Any comments on that?
No, I thought it worked. I didn't find it as ridiculous as you did
Okay.
with the whole thing. And it made sense to me. The first thought in his head was ball. It's like you could have made anything, and you made a ball.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Drax. Back to Drax. Drax has some great exchanges with Mantis on the steps of the palace at this point in time. Yeah, he tells Mantis, you're hideous. You're fucking horrible looking. You're ugly. And she gets all sad. He says, but you know what? You're lucky because since you're so ugly, if someone ever says they love you,
they really
mean it. And I was like, oh, that is so wise. And then he starts kind of pontificating on his family, and she reaches out and touches him, and she begins weeping, and he's just kind of stoically staring off these pawns. I wrote this down in my notes. It's super clever that they got somebody to emote for Dave Bautista, because if you told Dave Bautista, listen, we need you to cry really convincingly and really passionately, he'd be like, Bautista. But if you can just have a character touch him and cry really convincingly, that does it for you. She gets to act for Drax. She gets to be his emotions.
Right. And I thought it worked because I could see him carrying around that weight he's been carrying around since the beginning, and he just does it well.
Yeah.
He's used to it now. And,
yeah, he is stoic and sort of...
And it's probably why he laughs at death so much.
Oh, yeah.
When he's on the verge of it.
Yeah, we move back and forth at this point in time. We have sort of the Ravager storyline, and we have the Peter Quill storyline. On the Ravager side of things, we start to see, of course, Yondu has been overthrown. Rocket is now a prisoner of Nebula and the Ravagers, and they get thrown in a prison cell together, and they start to bond. Nothing bonds two dudes like getting thrown in prison together, right? So these guys start to bond with each other, and Yondu asks Rocket, are you a professional asshole or what? And Rocket pretty much says, yeah, sure. The Ravagers taunt the fuck out of Groot during this whole scene. There is a brilliant scene I call the fetch scene, where they're trying to figure out a way to escape from the ship, from the prison cell on the Ravager ship, and they're trying to get Groot to go find Yondu's fin, right? The thing that he uses to control his arrow.
Right.
That fetch scene, what'd you think of it?
I didn't enjoy it that much.
No?
Well, I'm like, how did Groot become that stupid?
Because he's younger, stupider Groot.
Yeah, I guess. But, like, the first movie, we need this. And he pulled it out of order when they're escaping from the prison. And this one, he can't figure out they're talking about a red mohawk fin.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like they presented him as a toddler, and when he was a grown ass adult, he couldn't tell the difference between genders and couldn't tell timelines.
Right.
And now we have the toddler version of him. It's going to be even stupider than a toddler. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I think it went on a little too long.
Actually, that's what I liked about it. Is they pushed it at first it was kind of chuckle funny. And then it went to a point where it was like, okay, this isn't funny. And then it went on so long that it was funny
Came
again.
back to you.
Yeah, when he puts the badge on his head, when they try and show him the Ravager badge, and he slowly puts the badge on his head and thinks that he wants him to wear it as a hat, and then the whole conversation between him and Rocket, where Rocket translates like he doesn't like hats because it makes people's head look funny, and I don't know. I thought the whole scene played, and this is another point in time which I thought, Baby Groot is cute. The rest of the times they show me Baby Groot, I'm like, fuck. I don't need Baby Groot. I don't need the movie to stop. This was a good scene to me, but it didn't play for you, no?
No, not really.
God, you and I enjoyed two very different movies at this point in time. We switch back to Peter Quill, and Peter Quill sort of finally gets the whole story. He gets to discover the fact that his dad went to Earth, but not only to Earth, to fucking bazillions of planets, impregnated bazillions of women, tried to basically create a half-celestial, and it was finally Peter's mom that took the DNA that the whole thing took with, that Ego, Peter's dad, put a brain tumor in her head to kill her because he knew that if she kept living, he would go back to the planet Earth and die with her. So he killed her to kind of save himself.
Right.
During this whole thing, now of course I'm summarizing heavily, but during this whole shebang, we get Peter sort of swept away by the whole storyline right up until Ego tells him, I killed your mom. Like, Ego reveals the fact that he wants to spread across the universe. He wants to be a part of every planet spinning and kind of cover it in himself and just be all of existence, basically be a god with a big G. And Peter's all for it right up until the point he says, I killed your mom. I put a brain tumor in her head. And that, of course, the love of mom throws Peter back into reality.
Right.
I don't know. That played with me. You can do a whole lot. You fuck with my mom, we're going to have issues.
Right. Well, how are you going to turn everybody against Kurt Russell at this point? Because he's always really likable. So, I put a brain tumor in your mom. Okay, now we can kill this guy.
and that, again, that dialogue felt a little on the nose. Like, why would you use that? Why wouldn't you just say, it killed me a little bit when your mom died? No, he literally says, it killed me to put that tumor in your mom's brain.
Right.
Like, again, a little bit of clunky exposition. But this brings us to a point. We've neglected the whole Nebula storyline in Gamora. Nebula escapes the Ravagers. She leaves the Ravagers. She goes and hunts Gamora down, tries to shoot her with a spaceship, run her over. Now, Nebula does some amazing fucking shit. She does some super psychopathic shit that I was super proud of. Like, she tries to drive a ship over her sister, which was fucking incredible. I was like, bravo, well done. That is really good shit right there. Like, fuck you, I hate you so much, I'm going to drive over the top of you. At one point in time, she's flying through a tunnel, just shooting guns, trying to fucking hit Gamora. Luckily.
It's like two sisters fighting in a trailer park
Yep.
at this point.
Yep, that's it. It was a space trailer park fight.
I'm going to drive over you with the car.
Yeah. I am going to fucking kill you. I don't care what it takes. Yeah, no, that's what it felt like. And that whole fight scene played for me. Also, getting to watch Nebula fucking rebuild her body through her cybernetics again. And Karen Gillian just fucking owns that part.
Yeah.
I think, first off, Karen Gillian, fucking gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
As Nebula, she's fucking gorgeous.
Still, yeah, bald and blue.
Yeah, bald and blue. I'm still like, God damn, you're an amazing looking woman. And she almost steals the show from Gamora, just like Drax stole the show from Peter. They put Chris Pratt in this dramatic role, and it just didn't play for me. There is one line in the entire thing that I turned to you in the theater and I said it's the best line in the movie, and it's where Peter's dad is explaining how he's gonna, like, Peter is a celestial, he can build anything he wants on the planet, he can control the planet basically as long as the light burns in the center of the planet. And Quill, like, he's like, get ready for like an 800-foot tall statue of Farrah Fawcett and all this other stuff. And finally he just looks at his dad and goes, I'm gonna build some weird shit.
Yeah.
And I think in the movie he actually says stuff.
Probably, yeah.
But
we heard shit in our
yeah,
mind.
in my mind,
right
but he
in
gives
our mind
us,
right now, it's shit.
Yeah, he gives us super genuine. He turns, I'm gonna build some weird shit, and that's finally Chris Pratt. I laughed out loud because it felt to me like Chris Pratt as Star-Lord was getting to be goofy fucking Star-Lord, He wasn't trying to be dramatic or anything else. He was just being goofy and non sequitur and off the wall.
Right.
It was the best line in the movie, as far as I'm concerned. So where the fuck are we in this confusion? God, this story had a lot of...
We're right at the end, to where they...
So they all sort of reunite. They God damn. They all sort of reunite at the end of this fucking
everything
shit show.
Converges onto Planet Ego at this point.
Yeah. Yondu and Rocket get
everything.
out. So when Groot finally gets Yondu's fin, brings it back, they're bolting it on. And of course Krieger, the first mate or whatever, has joined Rocket and Yondu in their attempts to escape. One of the things that annoyed me is Rocket asks, hey, do you have any clones of Peter's old music? And they stop the fucking movie to put on music. And all throughout this movie, they have some mechanical device playing the music. In the first, and I said we'd repay this. In the first scene, it's the quarter-inch jacks, and the stereo starts playing, and it stops playing when Drax gets thrown on it. Throughout the entire movie, they do this thing that I tagged as the in-out music, where they do like kind of the hollow tinny, I'm listening to this through shitty speakers, and then suddenly it becomes the soundtrack of the movie. And in the big Yondu Rocket escape scene, they do the same thing. It starts playing over the ship's intercom, and then suddenly it's the soundtrack of the killing scene. And I found that annoying. I was like, we don't need to see what mechanical device. Just play some bitchin' music in the background. We'll love it.
Right.
Kill some people to fucking paint it black by the Doors, and I'm there. Thank you. We're done. Did the Doors do paint it black?
I don't think so.
Stones.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely the Stones.
Oh.
Well, fuck. I fail at life.
Right. No, none of that made a difference to me. It was just all background stuff until it was the forefront of the soundtrack.
Oh, it got annoying to me. So we all meet up on Planet Ego. Everybody meets up on Planet Ego. We got to drill to the center of Planet Ego, destroy the brain of Planet Ego. What do you think of the close of this movie?
I think it was cool trying to get to the nerve center and everybody coming together, do what they need to do.
Sure.
Drax pulling Mantis out, trying to get her.
Yeah, safe.
Like he's sinking in the earth and he just raises her up to try and keep her out of it.
Yeah. See, this is when the movie won me over. This is when I finally felt like, okay, now we're in the movie. The previous 2 hours has been set up for this.
Right.
And now I felt like the Guardians were at their pace. We do the funny fucking joke with Groot and the button and the switches and the whole 9 yards, and he can't identify what button he's supposed to push, and he's probably going to kill them all. And Yondu is fucking incredible. You watch Yondu's fucking smashing the Celestial's arm rock bits to pieces, and you know, they do the escape from the I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. They do that whole fucking thing, and just
yeah, you're like Mary Poppins. Was he cool? Oh yeah,
yeah. You look like Mary Poppins. Was he cool? Yeah, he was cool. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all. Yeah, no. Finally, we're getting Guardians of the Galaxy to their goofy maximum. Like, there's so much comic book shit that goes on here. So many crazy physics. I don't give a fuck. I'm having fun. Finally. We're just blowing shit up, and we're shooting shit down, and we're being Star-Lord and Rocket Raccoon, and we're arguing back and forth and bantering, and then fucking Peter starts fighting with his dad because Peter's finally learned how to fucking channel the power of a Celestial. They do some really cool things here. They start to balance the sad notes with the happy notes. Yondu starts to give his, like, I've never done anything good in my life. Let me have this, little raccoon. And they give you kind of an emotional heavy note, and then the next scene they have Kurt Russell build a huge rock statue of himself, and Peter Quill build a huge rock statue of Pac-Man.
Right.
And they collide, and you know, you get the waka 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 waka, and they're beating the fuck out of each other. Ultimately, of course, the whole thing is Groot takes the bomb to the center of the whole core. There is a brilliant, one of my hands down favorite superheroes, like Avengers Assemble shots, where they sort of pan around the entire Guardians of the Galaxy, and they get everybody except Groot in there because Groot's in the brain.
Right.
But they get everybody in this shot, and Quill, of course, isn't in there because he's off fighting Dad. But they get everybody in this shot, and it looks fucking... Actually, I think Quill is in that shot at that point in time. But they get everybody together, and I have it written in my notes, hands down, one of the best fucking team scenes I've ever seen. Long story short, Go Team Go, they beat Dad, blow up Dad's brain. They get off the planet, everybody except Peter and Yondu. And we've established at this point in time that Yondu's arrow broke, so he can no longer fly, and that's how he flew. Rocket gives him a spacesuit and an arrow pack, the jet packs, basically. And, of course, in truly sacrificial fashion, Yondu straps the arrow pack on himself, puts the spacesuit on Quill, and flies off the planet, right?
Right.
And we get the whole thing where Yondu sacrifices himself to save Peter, and he tells...
Which was nice to see an actual sacrifice.
Yes.
A lot of the times, and they better not magically fucking bring him back. As much as I'd like to see Yondu come back, that would ruin the whole sacrifice. It'd be like...
I agree.
From the earlier movies.
I was watching this movie in the theater with my parents and my daughter and my girlfriend. Later during Yondu's funeral scene, my dad said... And this is the moment where he opens his eyes and sits up. And because my dad really wanted Yondu to come back.
Right.
Because he's the dad figure. And I was like, no, that would ruin the movie. Please don't. Please don't. So Yondu carries Peter into space. Yondu dies because he doesn't have a spacesuit. He put the spacesuit on Peter. Yondu dies right in front of Peter. How fucked up is this? Not only has he watched his Earth mom die, but he watched his space dad die right in front of his face.
Watched his Earth mom die. Killed his space dad himself.
The space father.
Space father.
Yeah, and then watched his space dad die. Yeah. Like, you talk about some fucking parental issues, man. And then we get what I think is probably the most potent scene in the movie, and this is what brings it around for me, is Yondu's funeral. I got to admit, wept openly. Fucking cried. Yondu's funeral... fucking amazing. When the Ravagers show up, as jokey and cartoony and dopey as they made them, when the Ravagers show up and they give him all the funerary honors and they burn him and his ashes sort of form into the arrow and the whole fucking thing, the eulogy he gives with the Hasselhoff fucking reference and the whole 9 yards, all of it just fucking resonates with me. Yeah, good, yeah. It was just a good scene. A good set of scenes, and they really, really, really draw out this sort of dark, painful, sad moment. And they break it up with very few comedy beats. There's only a few comedy beats in there that really break the tension for you.
Yeah, just a couple, but it was minor. But the whole funeral scene worked out, and I'm just like, the whole funeral scene though, I'm like, don't find a way to bring him back.
Yeah, no, I was the same way. I was like, no, he is done. He's done his thing. And
then when they blew him into space dust, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, when he finally disintegrated and turned into rainbow.
Yeah, he's confetti now.
Yeah, he's Skittles.
He's done.
Yeah, he's space Skittles. And they blew him out across space, and I was super okay with it. I was super happy with it. Ultimately, then we start to get the 5 fucking post-credit scenes. You got Krieger learning. He's apparently installed the fin on his own head, and he's learning how to use the arrow, which has been reassembled. Right. And he stabs Drax in the chest.
Drax with it.
Which is fucking hilarious.
Well, he didn't get the instructions, use your heart.
Yeah.
So he's just whistling, and weird shit's happening.
You've got a couple other moments. You've got the creation of Adam Warlock, and that's the big stinger. Right. Now, the rumors have it that Adam Warlock's not going to show up in the Infinity Cycle, and I'm really sad about that, because Adam Warlock was the guy who smacked Thanos around and won the Infinity Gauntlet from him, and ultimately saved the day. And they're like, yeah, we're going to do the Infinity Cycle without Adam Warlock. And I'm like...
I think they're going to set him up to be the next bad guy. Because who are you going to go from Thanos to what?
No, I don't know. I don't know. Either way, we'll see what they do. I really wanted him to be the guy that defeated Thanos because it would make my Infinity Gauntlet comic books worth so much more. Because the movies were close to the comic book. And my whole fucking Adam Warlock side series, which I was totally obsessed with.
Okay, so you had a dog in that race.
Yep.
So I don't. So I just take it for what it is at this point.
We get a couple other stingers. We see Groot as a teen. Apparently, Groot ages 85 times faster than humans.
Right.
It's a funny little bit where we get to see Quill as kind of a dad.
Saying, now I know how Yondu felt.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Sort of finally passing the torch and being the dad he never had. We get... There's another scene in there somewhere. We got Stan Lee talking to the Watchers. That's the very closing stinger.
I think they were setting up saying that he was a Watcher.
That's a common theory. That's a theory that's out there, and I tend to agree with it.
Which works, because that's why he's been everywhere. Everything's been happening.
Yeah, and he's crossed a bunch of different universes and the whole nine yards. So yeah, I really think Stan Lee is setting himself up as a Watcher.
Yep.
And there's some rumor that he actually created the character Uatu, the Watcher, as a personification of himself. The guy who sort of dips into all the Marvel properties and looks at them and says, "How you doing?" and then fucks off. So, and then the movie closes up. So ultimately speaking, there were some things I loved. I loved the hypercolor, absolute just eye candy of this movie. I super love Drax, man.
Yeah, he wins this one.
Every time he laughed, I laughed. I felt that Baby Groot played in very specific situations. Cried my ass off because of my own daddy issues when Yondu died and everything else. Found certain parts of the daddy issue saga cheesy and horrible. But ultimately speaking, I give it a solid 6. I know I said limp 6 when I started. Give it a solid 6. They really took some of the actors out of their elements. They made Gamora crankier because that's what you need.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. So it was a 7.5, but I did like the colors, like the comic booky feel that it all had.
It did feel like a comic book.
I liked that the overall tone was, because they kept talking about them being family in the beginning, but I don't think they were all searching for that family.
Sure.
And I don't think it came to fruition until the end.
Well, Drax literally gives the line. And I feel like that's important because Drax lost his family.
Right.
And for Drax to say, we are family.
All of them had family. Like, none of them, I think, were coming from...
That's true, because Rocket's an experiment. Groot is a question mark.
Right.
Gamora had a horror family. Like, Quill had it bad? Fuck you. You just didn't have a dad.
Right.
My dad actively tried to murder us.
He didn't have a dad and his mom died. Then he got abducted into space.
Right.
So, like, I don't think any of them had the family that they wanted, and they are all kind of missing that. And they were
except for Drax, who had exactly the family he wanted.
And then he had it taken away.
And they died.
But then they came together at the end. So the overall, like, the more emotional stuff I like because it was all coming to the end.
Yeah.
To where they did get together. Because you can't just have one adventure and call yourself a family. You're going to have to go through the fighting, the sorting, the pecking order out.
Yeah.
And finding out where you fit.
I get you. Yeah, I think this movie resonated. I feel like you and I watched two very different movies. It resonated with both of us. Me a little bit less than you. But the fact is, I would encourage anyone who can to go pay full price and see it in the theaters once. It's a good fucking movie. It is a solid installment in the Marvel Universe. It sets up a lot. And especially for a sophomore movie, a second movie in a series, I think it does a great job. It really puts in a good, solid performance. I'm okay with watching this. I'm not going to dodge it or avoid it.
No, I'm going to go see it again next week.
Okay, there you go. That being said, you've been listening to Bullshit Hold My Beer, and that was Guardians of the Galaxy. This has been our first full-length movie review, and we've droned on for an hour and 10 minutes at this point in time. So we'll see what this actually cuts down to in the end, and we may put some more special feature stuff in the end because I feel like I talked a lot and I want to get Patrick's take on some things. So if we have more time after this, please listen after the commercial break, and this will be a commercial break. If not, I want to take a second, whether this is a commercial break or not, I want to take a second to thank both our patrons because we now have two. I want to send out a special thank you to Crystal. I want to send a special thank you to Aaron. I also want to say thank you to Joel, Josh, the other Josh known as Hakeem. Let's see, Dory, Mikey, Julie. All these people are people who've given us feedback on the show and the content of the show, talked about the fact they'd like to hear a little bit less politics. Some people have talked about the fact they want to hear a little bit less politics. Some people have told me they want to hear the correct politics because they're Republican. Other people have told me that they're just laughing. So anybody who's had anything to do with giving us feedback on the show, who's taken time to watch the show, who's taken time to listen to the show, we thank you from the bottoms of our hearts. And with that, we're going to either take a break or sign off. We'll see how this works. But you have been listening to Bullshit Hold My Beer. You are listening to Bullshit Hold My Beer, coming at you from the cold, cold heart of the scorching Mojave Desert. If at any point in time you want to get a hold of me or Patrick, feel free to contact us. Our social media platforms are going to be available in the bottom. They're going to be BSHMBeer. That's BSHMBeer. And we can be found on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We can be reached at Gmail at all of those handles. And most importantly, we really want to spell this one out for you. If at any point in time you want to get a hold of us and show us that we're doing an amazing job, that you'd love to hear more, or that you want to give us money to embarrass ourselves on air for as long as humanly possible, feel free to find us at our Patreon page. That's going to be patreon.com/BSHMbeer. Thank you for your support. Thank you for listening. Feel free to grab that subscribe button. Feel free to download as many as you possibly can. Share it with a friend. Give us a like. A 5-star review on iTunes would be amazing. We will take whatever you get. The pandering does not end here. And now, back to the show.
So apparently, if you swear while you're lifting, it raises your efficiency by 5%?
Yeah, your performance.
Your performance?
All right, so let's go with TheVerge.com. We featured a show from them a couple weeks ago. This is why Planet Fitness is going to go bankrupt. Could cussing make you stronger at the gym? Maybe so. Drop those F-bombs. Let's read this article. This is just a cold read, so for those of you who are still tuning in, good luck.
Thank you for sticking with us.
Yeah. Here's my confession. I'm a prolific and unrepentant swearer. I drop F-bombs like I shed hair, and let me tell you, my shower drain is always clogged. Because I shed so much hair. Along with being an expert in swear words and unclogging drains, I also love lifting heavy things. I hadn't actually thought to combine my strength training and cursing hobbies until I found a small research study that said swearing apparently could make me stronger. The study is actually a presentation at the annual conference, the British Psychological Society, and all I could see was abstract, but it described 29 young adults who took short spins on exercise bikes and another 52 people who squeezed grip testers as hard as they could. Each group did one trial while repeating their favorite profanity.
My favorite, I think, is fuck.
Mine's fuck.
Because it's so versatile.
Oh, man, right?
It works with every
and
situation.
It's so fun to say. You got that nice soft right at the beginning of fuck.
And that hard end.
Yeah. that you're really fucking kicking in there. Stephen Richards described The Guardian as an even tone. It's not really clear why the officers were investigating even tone repetitive swearing. And I can't string together multiple fucks while trying to squeeze out one more deadlift. You could say I can't give a fuck. Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
I can.
I've never cussed while I was lifting until maybe I was done with the lift. But I'm a grunter. I'll grunt and make noise while I'm pushing heavy.
Huh. Well, I've watched you. You get angry at the weights.
Right.
Which freaks me out a little bit. I've watched you fail on a rep and had to help you get that rep back to extension and then told you, let's rack this. And you're like, no. And then you'll get 2 more reps. You'll just get mad at the bar and get 2 more reps that aren't failures. And I don't understand that.
That's stopping me from succeeding. So it's making me angry. Get the fuck out my way. I need to lift this.
This builds on earlier findings from the same lab, showing that spewing profanity allows people to keep their hands in ice water longer. But there are obviously a bunch of caveats. It's a small study. Probably hasn't been through the full process of peer review. So this is kind of early finding type stuff.
Right.
I can't find an actual number on percentages in this particular thing. I swear it was about 5%. They said it increases your ability by about 5%.
Even if you gave me increased ability by 1%, I'll start swearing in my garage right now. But don't start swearing in Planet Fitness.
Yeah, they'll boot you immediately.
They'll boot you. They're fucking stupid over there. They got rid of squat racks.
Because people were grunting in them.
Because people were grunting. No shit, you're grunting. You're trying to push heavy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I swear to God, that was the only thing that let me sled the weight that I used to sled was the ability on that last rep to go...
Yeah, because you're like, I'm done. I'll throw more weight on and say, no, keep going. But not in Planet Fitness.
No, because your lug alert.
Oh yeah, the lug alert.
Yeah, lug alert. You're grunting too much. You're making this a stressful environment for the rest of us. the gym is the one place where you're allowed to judge, goddammit. That's why if you don't want to be judged, get a garage gym.
Yeah. I'm not going to judge a fat person on a treadmill.
You know what? I am. And you know what I'm going to judge them? I'm going to judge them a goddamn superhero. Because it takes a lot of fucking courage to go into a gym, like obscenely overweight, and get on a treadmill or lift a weight or whatever. Like, fucking, you are a rock star.
They're
Congratulations.
Out there fucking doing something.
Yeah. Get off your dead ass and fucking do anything. I'm mostly talking to myself at this point in time.
Some people will. They'll sit there, oh, look at that fat ass at the gym. It's like he's at a gym. He's trying to solve the problem.
Yeah, he's doing something. He may not have the knowledge or wherewithal or whatever. I don't know. But he's doing fucking something.
Something. But Planet Fitness, just to go on a little rant here.
Oh, go. Rant away.
You said getting rid of the squat racks, and apparently you're not going to be able to swear either. But you said it might put them under. It's not, because that's a gym that gives their patrons pizza and cookies.
I might join this gym.
Yeah, and that's putting their members on a repeat cycle to come back.
Oh yeah, that's a brilliant business model. Like,
yeah, they're never going to be satisfied because they're just going to keep ruining whatever they just did on your ellipticals.
Yeah, with pizza and cookies.
Yeah,
I just did an hour on the elliptical. I deserve this cookie.
Yeah.
I deserve this brownie. I'm just going to take and smear it all over my body. All over my sweaty body. Sorry.
No, it's very counterproductive what they do there. And the non-grunting and the getting rid of the squat racks bother me. Because if you're going to work out, squats are a major part of what you need to do.
They're one of the big six, man.
Right.
They're one of the big six. And the study shows that swearing, and this is from memory, so... swearing does a couple things. It helps distract you from the task at hand, allowing your brain to get out of the way of your body. Because they say 70% of failure is the brain saying we can't do this anymore. The body actually has a much higher tolerance than the human brain does. So you start swearing, you start focusing on the swear word and that sort of explosive expletive. Think less about the actual weight you're lifting or doing whatever with.
I could see that. If I'm venting like I'm stressed out at work or whatever, if I start fucking cussing and venting to you, I feel better.
Yeah. And that's just basically what they're talking about. It pulls your brain away from the task at hand, just allows your body, your head gets out of the way, and it allows your body to do its thing. And your body is probably about 5% stronger in this particular case.
There's going to be a lot more swearing when I'm lifting in the garage or when I'm fighting on the field.
It's one of the reasons I really like CrossFit, because one of the things about the CrossFit box was they turned the music up really loud, and so you could sit there and mutter swear words to yourself all day long, what have you, and no one gave a shit, no one cared. Everybody was so fucking busy with their own sweat and blood and toil or whatever that they didn't give a fuck what you were saying.
Right. And I've been in gyms that they get mad where you drop the weights.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're at a point where you either drop the weights or you get injured for not dropping the weights.
Oh, that's another thing I loved about CrossFit gyms. They always encourage you, because they use those bumper plates. Right. And they always encourage you, drop the weight, just drop it. And you kind of feel like a stud when you've done, an hour and a half workout and you wrap out that last squat and you just let it drop off your back and bounce away from you. You're like, yeah, that's right, bitch. That's where you belong because you're heavy, and then you lay down too.
Yeah.
But so start dropping the F-bomb at the gym. You'd be amazed at your performance improvements. And if anyone finds positive correlation here, correlation is not causality. But if anybody finds positive correlation, let us know. Maybe we can start our own goddamn study. You have been listening to Bullshit, Hold My Beer, and we'd like to thank you for joining us this evening on the longest show to date. We'll be back in 7 days with more blasphemy for you, a little bit more politics on the back end of things, and some trailer reviews, some show reviews, and some cool technological stuff. Look for us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, at gmail.com, BSHMBeer, and thank you so much for listening. We love you all, and until next time, have a good week.